Hey YouTube, welcome back to Modeling in Blender for Unity. My name is Andrew at Triangle 4 Studios, and today we're going to make a hydraulic and then import it into Unity. Let's jump right in. Start with a blank scene. A couple quick notes. One would be that we're going to be using cylinders, and cylinders have the tendency to add a lot of mesh to your scene very quickly. So keep that in mind. Use cylinders sparingly, especially in game development. Alright, let's prepare for export into Unity. So with all objects selected, and with face orientation selected, we're going to go to our object menu and apply all transforms, and then we're going to set origin to geometry. Then we're going to the edit menu, select all by Control A, mesh, normals, and recalculate outside. There are circumstances you won't want to use these settings, but we're not going to cover that today. Then we're going to press 4. We're going to go with all objects selected to the File menu, Export, and FBX. And it's a good idea to have shortcuts set up for this. Then with only mesh selected, selected object selected, and apply transform selected, export to FBX. If you have issues with your export, you can try removing this setting. Then we're going to navigate to the folder where we have that FBX file, open up Unity, and we're going to bring that FBX file into Unity. Drag and drop it into the scene, and create a little empty game object called Script Manager, which I've done here. Doesn't matter where it is. Alright, we're going to unpack that prefab. And now that we've done that, we can actually remove all of these. They don't need to be parented to that. Find your top object, so it's cylinder 3, and then your other two objects, and group them together. And then you can give it a name. We'll call this one top or upper arm. And then your other ones, you can group them together as well. And we'll call that lower arm. Right. So we have our lower arm and our upper arm. Right. And if I were to select my upper arm now and move it, it'll move. Just like it should. Alright, let's create a script. We'll call it hydraulic manipulation. It's good to be descriptive when designing your classes and class names. Right, so we're going to drag and drop that hydraulic manipulation script onto the script manager. And then we're going to go ahead and edit it. Alright, and it starts with all this stuff. We're not going to use any of this. We're going to get rid of all of that. But not that. We're going to also execute edit mode today. And we are going to create through two game objects. Upper and lower. And then I think the best way to do this is to have some vector 3s. We're going to call them init, public vector 3s, init upper and init lower. And we need a float, and we'll call this the move float, or let's call it translator. And of course, it needs to be a float. Okay. This doesn't have to be an update. This can be in any method you want, but we're going to use it in update. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to say transform.local position. And sorry, init upper dot transform.local position equals init upper. Sorry, upper. Init upper plus new vector 3. And notice that we're doing local position, and that's actually very important because if you don't do local position, you're going to be moving in world space, which causes all kinds of problems, which I won't get into today. We actually don't need the lower. We don't need it to knit, and we don't need it as a game object. We just need the upper for this. Alright, so we have all of that. Let's go ahead and see how that works together. So the first thing we need is we need the uppers position. This is the uppers position right here. Alright, and it is local position, but if you don't actually, if it's not local, then it'll just treat it as global if you declare it as local. Alright, so we're going to go into our script manager and we're going to set that initial position. Right, and then we're going to plug in our upper arm. Whoops. It's hard to type through a mic. Alright, so now we're going to plug in that upper arm. And let's see what the translator does. Here we go. And if we want to, we can put a limit or a cap on that so that it doesn't go any further than that. And we can say if translator is greater than 0, actually greater than or equal to 0, and then you would have to get a little more specific with your final position, which is not good. You'd have to hard code the final position, but that will allow you to make sure that you don't go less than 0. And then we can, instead of going up, we can go down. And then that'll make sure we always stop at 0. And then if you do want to hard code it, you can just look at where it is at the bottom. At the bottom it's at 6. You can just say 6 because it's nice and even. And we can say and that's that. And that will give us the ability to translate our hydraulic within a range. And there are nice features, nice benefits to doing it this way as well, is now you have complete control over that hydraulic. If I wanted to control this and not use edit mode, I could just say if input.getKey code X, actually W. And then we can do the same thing for S. And instead of positive, it would be negative, and then we can clamp that value. So in, let's say 0,6. Alright, just to make sure that we don't exceed that value, then we actually don't need this anymore. You need that because we're using execute in edit mode, but if we're not using execute in edit mode, then we don't need that. And then we can set this to 0, and then we can go ahead and we have some glitchy thing going on here with Unity where it doesn't want to let me drag things up. I don't know why. Okay, let's close all of that. Wow. Alright, so we can go ahead and run this. So I'm pressing W, now I'm pressing S. And you see we've gone down a little bit too far. But yeah, that's basically it. You got a nice working piston here. Or a nice working hydraulic. Alright, thanks for watching.